I thought I'd do something different rather than write a whole page about the better trendline indicators. I thought I'd do this in a video instead. And there's really two parts of the video. The first one is to show how you can use trend lines to trade. And the second part is to show the inputs for the indicator, how to add it to a chart, and some useful kind of tips and tricks. So in this first part, I just want to show the trendline indicator on a range of different instruments, stocks, futures, and different time frames. The beauty of the trendline indicators is it's probably one of the simplest trading methods that you can find. And when I use the trend lines on a chart, I'm looking for this one particular setup, which is a congestion setup. And here you can see one on this chart. It's a classic one here. It's basically a triangle formation between a rising trend line and a falling trend line. The indicator paints those bars automatically as white to signal a congestion area, and then you're looking for a breakout in a particular direction above or below the trend lines. So here we're kind of mid to late January 2008, and we've just had a massive decline in the E-minis, and this is a daily E-mini chart on TradeStation. You can see how we had a close beneath this rising trend line, and that was a perfect signal for one of these kind of large swan dive moves for the market. The reason why these congestion zones work so well is that we typically get very strong trend moves out of congestion. During the congestion period, we've got traders trying to position themselves either long or short, and eventually once the instrument breaks out in a particular direction, everybody kind of gets on board, and if in this case you were long, you had to reverse your position to get short, and that causes a large move here. Just to show you this on a couple of other different time frames, so if we look at the weekly chart of the E-mini, got a similar kind of setup here, where the indicator dropped through this rising trend line and signaled that kind of short trade. Again, looking for these kind of congestion zones. Here we had a breakout that went short, another congestion went short. Eventually we kind of have another breakout area and we go long, congestion area we go short, and so on. And just trading these little breakouts can be a beautifully simple method of trading. And here we have the last bear market that we had in mid-2000. There's the congestion zone happening, and then we kind of break into a downtrend, and then a series of these congestion zones and breaking out, going lower and lower, and they're beautiful entry points once you pick them. I actually look at these also on an intraday basis. So if we looked at, for example, a 15-minute chart on the daily E-mini. Again, here you can see how this fairly large congestion zone here eventually resolved itself on the way down, and you got these entry points here. Sometimes you would have thought you'd have got a perfect little kind of congestion zone there. We didn't actually get the paint bar on there, it just happened too quickly and we kind of fell through there. And here we are the end of January, and we're setting up with a little kind of triangle congestion zone here. We've had a small break up to the upside, and we've kind of closed back within the congestion zone, so we'll see where that kind of resolves itself over the next few days. Again, beautiful setup here with the congestion zones going south. We're in the congestion zone there, and breaks down and so on. So you can see how that works. It also, I like looking at these on a tick bar basis. So the smallest time frame that I look at is a 233 tick bar. So again, just looking at that, we can see how we get a congestion zone here breaking up, congestion zone breaking, and so on and so on. For all of you stock traders out there, I mean, these work great on stocks as well. Let's look at Citibank just as an example. Here we had a large topping movement happening in Citibank back mid last year. we have these congestion zones that resolved themselves. So this one here broke to the downside, congested then, and then just kept on going, congesting down. And then beautiful setup here around 47.50, congestion zone there, broke below the trend line, and look at that move, just a fantastic move. So that's again what I'm looking for, is these congestion zones. Last example, I'll just show you, let's say Cisco weekly chart, and there we have, some of these congestion zones here breaking to the upside, the downside. This one here was, at the end of mid 2007, congestion zone here breaking to the upside and so on. If we go back in history, there's a nice little setup again, with the beginning of the bear market there, mid 2000, weekly congestion bar at the end of that kind of triangle setup. We kind of broke lower and just had a re-entry point here, broke lower and so on. So hopefully there you can see how this indicator is incredibly simple but unbelievably powerful. And the big money is made in the big moves, and you get big moves out of congestion zones. So understanding where those are and how to position yourselves looking for a breakout in either direction is really critical. If you're a beginning trader, I think this is probably the simplest tool to use. It works on any time frame and any instrument. Okay, now I just want to show you how you can set up the indicators on a chart and configure them. Let me just remove the indicators from this chart and start afresh. So we've got a daily E-mini chart on TradeStation. So right click, insert analysis technique, and we go to the paint bars, because this is written as an easy language paint bar study. And there is the better trend line, and we just add that to the chart. There we go, calculates really quickly. That happens on any time frame and any instrument. It's nice and fast. There we've got the rising trend lines painted in green. We've got falling trend lines painted in red. We've got the falling bars in green and the rising bars in red, and the congestion zones in white. Those of course are all configurable. So if I go right click format, better trend line, there are my input values, hit format, and you can see those in some detail. So the strength is set to 4, and that's as a swing bar strength, or in TradeStation it's called a pivot swing point, set to 4. That means that there are 4, when you've got a pivot low, there are 4 higher bars on to the left of the pivot low, and then there are 4 higher bars to the right of that low. You can choose different strengths. My preferred setting for this on all time frames actually is set to a strength of 4. Then you can configure the different colorings if you prefer up and down colors to be different. Red and green is what I've set in the triangle color, so that's the consolidation color, is set to white. So those are configurable there. The other thing that I like to do as well is to input those swing and pivot bar lows. So again, right click, insert analysis technique, and those are show me's, and here we go, the pivot high and the pivot low, and I can input both of those simultaneously by just holding down the shift key as I highlight those. Click return, and they're added. So there you can see the pivot highs and the pivot lows are added onto the chart. Sometimes that's kind of nicer just to be able to see those on the chart as they form. Again, they're configurable. Right click, if you go format the analysis techniques, the pivot high and lows are set there. And if I look at the format of that pivot high, again the strength is set to the bar is set to a high. The left and the right strength are both set to 4 there. Now those are canned indicators that come out of TradeStation, so I just use those, no changes required. One of the nice things that you can do is, as a grouping, rather than adding the 3 studies individually, you can add them as a group. So let me just remove those and show you that. So I'm just removing those 3, closing that up. So there we've got the raw chart, and I go insert an analysis group, and on here I've got the better trend line set up as a group, where I've got the trend line as a paint bar study input and those pivot highs and pivot lows with those settings. Just hit return, and there they all appear on that chart. So very nice and easy to add that to any chart, any time frame, or any instrument. So there you go. That's the trend line study. I'm calling that the better trend line. And as I said, the key use for that in my trading is to look for these congestion zones painted white. When I'm day trading, I'm looking for those on my tick chart, starting with a 233 tick chart all the way up to a 2097 tick chart. And when those line up on multiple time frames, I know that there's a large move coming. And again, the big money is made in the big moves, and that's what you want to get positioned ready for. And these congestion zones are the perfect places to get positioned in a particular direction. So hope that helps. You can send an email via the contact form if you've got any questions on that indicator, and hopefully that was of interest to you.